In my previous videos, I mentioned how the Escort shotgun series is much like the Remington 870. So I'm going to take this opportunity just to show you the similarities. Now, of course, there are some small aesthetic changes between the two as far as how the ejection port is molded. Here it is more of an oval shape versus a squared. The design of the actions, the furniture, just some minor changes, but I want to focus on the similarities. So on the bottom is the Escort, and on the top is a Remington 870. And this right here is pretty much my favorite shotgun that I own right now, this particular one. This one's a law enforcement officer's best friend. So great shotgun. And I'm not really going to go over the changes. Like I have a side saddle on this and not on this. And then I'm not really focused on the fact that this has rifle type sights on the barrel and this doesn't. I'm more talking about the receiver, the type of action, and just the manual of arms, the controls. So first off, this right here, it has dual bars, one on each side. And if you look at the Remington 870, it's the same design, easier to see on this particular one. The bolt right here, I'll try and knock it back here a little bit for you guys. So right here you see a single extractor setup. And on the 870, now keep in mind this is a newer model 870. So there's your extractor setup right here. Also a single extractor. The loading gate, very similar as far as function goes. Aesthetically, there's some small differences, of course, but the function is pretty much the same. As you know, some shotguns will vary. If you look at a Mossberg series, for example, it looks completely different underneath versus the Remington and the Escort. The action release right here, you push this in if you already have a round chambered and your action is locked. You push this in, unlock your action, and you can chamber or unchamber around, and that's right here. It's the same on the Escort. The only difference is aesthetically it sticks out a little bit more, but you still push it in exactly the same. The safety is the rear of the trigger guard. So for right-handers, you would use your shooting hand to, or trigger finger rather, to push and select to fire, push back towards your hand for safe. So left to fire, right to safe. Same thing on the Remington. Here it is on fire. You would push it back to the right for safe. The design of the receiver, just so you can see kind of both receivers here, is very similar. There's a little bit of size difference between the two, and I'm trying to hold them up to each other. This receiver is a little bit longer than the 870. The design is the same, but there is a little bit of size difference, and that's about it. Now, both of these can take 3-inch loads. It's just the small difference in sizing. This has a little bit of a bigger port than the Remington, and just the measurements are a little bit different, but the overall design is the same. You can see the 2 pins right here are still in the same location. The stock angle right here is pretty much the same. Again, the only differences between these two are just the aesthetic differences. The Remington is a little bit smoother than the Escort, but I expect that to even out a little bit more as I shoot this. This I've had a decent amount of rounds through it. It's very smooth. The 870 action is just a smooth action. So I expect this to smooth up a little bit. This is smooth, but just not quite as smooth as my 870. As far as the aftermarket stuff, when looking at right here on the stock, you can see how much the trigger guard influences the stock right here. It's about the same. And as I understand it, there are some Remington products that can go on these Escort shotguns. I'm just not exactly sure which ones. I don't know if they're all going to be compatible. I don't think they are, but I haven't really researched it myself. As I understand, this is just secondhand knowledge to me, that there are stuff that you can do to these Escort shotguns and use Remington 870 parts, but at the same time, you want to research that and just double check. The takedown is the same as an 870 and a lot of different shotguns. You unscrew this, the barrel will come right out, just like the 870. In fact, this barrel is a different barrel than what came on this originally. I like this barrel a lot better because it has the rifle style sights on it. Again, as far as the side saddles here, you're not going to get this side saddle on this Escort unless you do a lot of modifications to the action up here, because of the fact that it's going to impact and you're not going to be able to cycle this gun if you have this style of side saddle on here. So what that means is you either have to have a smaller side saddle, stick to keeping your rounds somewhere else, or buy something, a different type of action. So I just wanted to show that to you folks. Before I forget, the trigger areas, the trigger assemblies are both polymer. This one has a little bit more texture to it. It looks good. I don't know how much use there is to it, but it certainly looks good. The Remington's is plainer, just has the Remington logo on it. Really nothing fancy with that. This one has a little bit more nice checkering to it, and I kind of like that. The one thing that I do like is the fact that this has an extended action release right here. The safety is just as positive as the Remingtons as far as crispness and whatnot, so I don't foresee it accidentally going into the engaged or disengaged positions. The comfort of this, it's kind of subjective. There's more surface area here, so if you have a shorter length of pull, which I mean by that is your arms are shorter, you may like this a little bit better because there's more surface area to grasp onto. This has a little bit less, still very comfortable, but some people that have shorter arms or whatnot, they may be extending quite a bit to get that. It just varies per person. So this, like the Benellis and whatnot, I really like because you can get in there, work the action, all that good stuff. As far as aftermarket, adding on new stuff like magazine extensions and whatnot on the Escort, I haven't looked into that too much. I'm sure there are some things that you can do if you want to add to the capacity. The one difference, this is a 4+1 and this is a 5+1. So this has more capacity in the tube versus this one. Granted, I have a different model 870. In fact, I'll go ahead and grab it right now while I'm thinking of it. This is another 870 right here. This has a higher capacity right here. So I really like my 870s. So again, that's just kind of subjective. But if you wanted to increase the capacity and get it up to 7 rounds, 8 rounds, you'll have to research and see what will work good if you run these Escort shotguns. I know there are plenty of different barrels for the Escort shotgun, so if you want to get more of a field barrel, a longer barrel, you can certainly do so. Also these things do come with the round limiters, so if you're wanting to use this shotgun, throw a bigger barrel on it, and then take it upland game bird hunting or something like that, and you have regulations, you can throw that limiter in and be good to go there. So anyway, that's about enough of that. I just wanted to show you the similarities. Hopefully this helps you when you decide to look at these shotguns. Take a look at them. The quality as far as the metallurgy and everything between the two seems to be pretty much on par with each other. That's just on site, just kind of looking at, the lack of machine marks and just the general fitment and whatnot. I'm sure I could find differences if I really took everything apart and looked closely. But from a practical sense, I think you'd be really well off getting an Escort shotgun if you can't find any of the Remingtons. Now, Remington has dissolved, as I understand it, so I don't know what that means for the future of the 870. That kind of sucks because I like the 870. But with that said, if you can't get the 870s, then I think the Escort series right here would be a good choice. So, all right, thanks a lot for watching, as always. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Share the videos with your friends, and above all else, stay safe.